Am I doing the intro?
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah.
Hi. And I'm Annika, and welcome to State of Strength.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you guys here. We have so much gold dust to share with you all. And Annika and myself are here today to welcome ourselves and share a little bit about our stories and where we come from and why we are here today and our mission behind this.
All right, shall I start? I'll go
Yeah.
right ahead. Cool. Well, I'm Annika. I'm a breathwork facilitator. I'm also a mindset and women's empowerment coach. And the whole reason why I got into this is for me to inspire and show women how they can step into their power because you can do it and it's already done and you're already doing it, which is why you're here.
Hmm.
So let's start. So at the age of 23, I already had a daughter. I was in a relationship and there was just something not quite right. And a few months into it, into the relationship, the not quite rightness, I realized I was in a DV relationship. I was very young. I was very naive. I really led with the heart and just saw the greatness and good in everyone, which also led to me being a little bit ignorant with my choices. And I chose to stay in this relationship and I chose to stay in it for almost a decade. It took me almost a decade to remove myself from the choices that I had made in the past. And throughout this relationship, I started multiple businesses. We started multiple businesses together. We had another child together as well. And throughout this, I completely detached from my reality to cope with what was actually happening in my life. And the way I detached from it was, fantasizing. And I was fantasizing about a great life. And if I wasn't fantasizing about a great life, I was actually fantasizing about dying and about death. And that was my life for over 7 years. And this was me like running businesses. This is 7 days a week, and I'm looking after my kids. I was very young, was very young and still very naive, completely detached from reality. And because I detached myself from my reality, I actually ended up with chronic anxiety for well over a decade. And I also experienced depersonalization. So I was extremely dissociated with my reality. I was just dissociated with, I was detached from my body and I was living up here. And it was a very scary place. Um, I felt extremely isolated, really isolated. And there was a moment in time where, I did reach out to people when I did come back into my body and was like, this is my reality. And I asked people for help and they actually were too scared to help me. So that made me feel even more isolated. And I started creating these stories in my mind. I'm like, oh, well, no one's helping me. I must not be good enough. So then I start, circulating these thoughts and these beliefs. And now I'm completely validating my belief by staying in this relationship. A few years passed by and actually had someone reach out to me and they're like, you know, have a look at the life that you have created and literally wake the fuck up. And I did. And I chose to leave. I chose to reach out again to these same people and ask for help again. And I said, like, I don't have this is my not having a choice. This has to happen. And you have to help me because I need to get the fuck out and I'm ready to go. And it was the most scariest moment of my life. It was the most actionably terrifying moment of my life, but it was the most liberating. However, when I left that relationship, I took all the stories along with me. I'm not good enough. I'm not loved. I don't deserve what I want. So then I was also validating all of that in my life experience as well. My beautiful partner, my beautiful husband, and he also, came out of a relationship as well. And he is now a recovering alcoholic. He hasn't had a drink for many years now, and he also went bankrupt. So both of us are, we're triggering our wounds, each other's wounds, and we're showing up, and we're mirroring each other. And this could have gone, two different ways. And it did. It went one way for the first few years. And that was me self-sabotaging. They're like, I'm not good enough. You don't love me. And really rejecting and pushing that story and pushing that narrative. And we almost ended up we did end up marrying. And then although that self-sabotage, we almost ended up in a divorce. However, I reached out, and by this point, we literally had no money. And I knew that if I created a life that was so shit internally, you know, like the chronic anxiety, I was scared of living, I was bedridden, I didn't love myself, and I was scared to leave the house. It took me a lot of courage to even walk out of that door because these narratives that I was creating were literally, I turned them into my reality and I embodied them. And there was one day where I'm like, life cannot be lived like this anymore. Like, I've had enough. If I can create a life that's so dark and so dense, I can create a life that is beautiful and loving. And I can learn to love myself and learn to accept love from my husband and no longer self-sabotage. So I'm like, well, what is that? What does that look like? And I reached out to a friend, and by this point had no money. However, it was no longer an option just to keep living the way that I was living. And I reached out to this friend, and she's a coach. She's an NLP mindset coach, and paid her the money. And she showed me all the fucking hard truths, all of the hard truths. It was extremely uncomfortable. However, this was the most pivotal turning point in my life. And I realized that I can choose. I got to choose. And that is the reason why I'm here now, because someone else showed me, a beautiful woman showed me how I can step into my power. And this is the reason why I'm here now, to show you how you can step into your power.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Anika and I have a very similar story, hence why we have collaborated as women and powerful women together. Magic happens. Very similar. So I won't go back, but I was in an abusive marriage for 9 years, broke up. We'd had three houses by the age of like 25, broke up. I basically walked away from that to create a better life for myself and my kids. Similar story to starting again, really, and losing myself completely, absolutely having no confidence, had all these stories in my head. I embodied anxiety, depression. There was parts when I just didn't want to wake up. I didn't want to leave the house. Although I walked away from this, I knew I would be able to rebuild my life. I knew that I could do it, and I knew that it was just a matter of time. So I chose the path I chose. And yes, it seemed like the hard path at the time, and it nearly killed me. And I knew I had to invest in myself. So I remember being rock bottom, living in my mum's garage and with my two kids, and just going, how did I end up here? Like, how did I end up here? I went through years of abuse, so I had no confidence. I believed the things he told me. I allowed him to control my life until I said no more. And when I lived in my mum's garage, I also I kept attracting the same thing. And this was because I had not healed my own wounds. I became very aware of this and very mindful, and I threw myself into, I have invested thousands. So thousands and thousands of dollars like Anika. And I knew that's what I had to do to completely change my life around and get back to the girl I once was. The girl that was, this happy, passionate, energetic, confident woman that was taken from me. I remember going, this is not the end. This is a part of my journey. And I know a lot of you guys will come on here and, see us as, empowering and here to help you guys. And that's why we're here, because we have been in all the different stages of life. And I remember seeing that, having no money, like literally no money. And every bit of money I had, I was scraping towards literally investing in myself and my children and keeping a roof over their heads. I then, got a house for us, and things started to change, and things changed quickly. I met the love of my life. He's an absolutely amazing man. I was on my own for a few years, healing myself, doing course after course. I'm in the yoga, meditation, breath work. I've done a lot of different courses over years. In that world, also in the fitness world. I used to do pageants. I used to run a lot of fundraisers and speak on stage. I've done a lot of things, in the modeling world, which for me was setting me up for the person that I am today. And I love bringing people together, hence State of Strength. It's Anika and myself created this to fight. So it's a state. So it's a mindset, state of strength. We want to be here to show you that you can choose at any moment to change your entire life around. So I remember meeting my husband. I then got pulled through court again because I actually probably hadn't learned my lesson from my previous DV relationship. We found out he had a huge tax bill, same sort of thing as Annika, lost a lot of money. And then I threw myself back into healing myself again. We then lost a baby. She died from a heart condition, and our life turned upside down once again. And I knew I had to change. Like, I knew that, yes, I've done a lot of healing and I've done a lot of work and I've done a lot of things. I built multiple six-figure business online off my phone, and that was successful. And then when I lost Pixie, my life just went upside down and I just didn't know who I was again. And all the same wounds came back. And I knew that I had to do more. So I, once again, like Annika, invested thousands of dollars into coaching and learning how to coach others, learning how to heal myself, learning how to share that and then pass on what I've learned so then I can help another person, because it is my biggest passion to help women, and it always has been since a very young girl. I've always helped women. I used to run the deportment and grooming in the modeling agencies, and also help with self-care and teach yoga to the girls with eating disorders. And it's just been my biggest passion. And when Annika and I decided to team up on this, it just felt so right because, both of us together have had these past experiences with DV, abuse, losing everything and then being able to get it back again and then building these beautiful relationships. And now we're here to serve you guys. We're here to pour into you. So State of Strength, we've also created a free community where we share breath work, movement, ocean swimming, surfing, whatever it is for you, and bringing community together. And the reason behind that, our mission behind that, is if we can create impact and show, step into our power, then that's going to be a ripple effect. And eventually that's going to spread globally, right? So every week we are doing a free event. This is for everybody. And then we are also creating this coaching container. So for you guys here, you get extra special attention, one-on-one with us too, and weekly calls. And we just wanted to share a little bit of our stories so you guys get where we come from and who we are. So, we're just everyday people like you, and we're here to help you and serve you guys.
Yeah, and State of Strength is also a great reminder too that your stories and experiences do not define you. It's your choices. It's your choices and who you want to be now. You get to choose what defines you.
We only have now. We don't have the past. We don't have the future. We have now. Annika and I have had a lot of past things, and we lived in our stories for a very long time. And yes, we've had to be like one of our pracs for NLP was literally calling us out for our BS, calling our stories out, our victim mentality, and we were living in that.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you guys for, coming and sharing, letting us share our stories today. We're so excited to get started with this with you guys.
Yeah.
Yay. I can just turn that off.
Yeah, great. Cool.